What's up, gangsters? I'm back. It's been a while. For that, I apologize. Turns out the New Year's resolutions actually worked, and I picked up a bunch of new clients that required my attention. So the YouTube channel had to take a little bit of hiatus on that, and but we're back. And so what's new, and what is the new direction for the channel? Well, I think what the new direction is going to be is something a little bit different than what I was doing, which was more tutorial based. And what I've found is it is entirely too difficult to work as a colorist and then on top of that think about and create and shoot tutorials or that kind of thing. It's just too difficult. And secondly, candidly, there's plenty of folks out there that are doing that at a much higher level than I would be able to. So if I were to continue on the path that I was on, I think it would just be a slew of quasi-tutorials that were beneath the quality of what's already out there. So I don't want to do that. And instead, what I think the real value is describing and showing my approach to real-world projects, which was kind of the impetus of this channel from the jump. I wanted to show some real-life stuff. So that's going to be the new direction moving forward as of now. And what I want to do is take the real life asks that I receive from clients and show you how I implement them into the footage that that is given to me. So it's a real life practicum of what a working colorist actually deals with on a day-to-day. So I hope you stick around for that new direction. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to give me a little bit more leeway to talk things through about how I go about doing things and, you know, just my thoughts on the industry as a whole and what's changing out there. I mean, the whole industry is in complete flux. So if you're still around, I thank you for sticking around. That's very cool of you. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been a while. I didn't forget about you guys. It feels good to be back. And I hope you stick around for this next version of this channel. With that said, I think what I'm going to do is go through a project I worked on a little bit ago, and the client specifically asked me to match not only two interview angles but a third kind of like a moving portrait angle. And so let's just jump right in. So I've got these three shots here. This is kind of our intro portrait. And she just kind of like looks at camera. We have our wide interview, and we have our close-up. So let's get started here. I know that these are shot red, wide, gamut. Let's fire up the L3G10 and make sure all this is off. Yeah. And we'll just copy this over. And I think right off the top, it's very warm, so I'm not totally sure what LUT they were looking at. But we have a real opportunity here to make this dope, because I think once we change the white balance of this, all those windows are going to go very blue, and that's going to further pull our subject out from that background using color contrast as a form of separation. And looking at the scopes, it looks like our window here, or our wall rather, pretty bright. It's definitely on par, or no, it is brighter than her face. And what we want to do is we want to pull attention to that face. The best way to go about this is to pick a frame that we're going to be able to see the most visual information from which to derive a look for this. Now, the client doesn't want anything crazy, but they do want this to look like they shot it all at the same time. So camera matching is going to be of importance here. So I think we're going to choose this wide angle. And first things first, let's do a white balance shift. We're going to do this in the linear mode here. And we're just going to slide this around a little bit until it's feeling a little bit better. And there we go. It's kind of snapping into place already. Keeping an eye on the skin tone. I'm going to push it a little bit further. All right, cool. So that white balance, I think, feels a little bit better. Let's introduce a little contrast to this. Not too much, but this is the frame we're going to base all of our other decisions off of, so this has to look pretty good. Okay, so our white balance is better. Might be skewing a little magenta. Let's just take a little bit of that out. There we go, and let's keep an eye on our skin tone. All right, we're grabbing a little bit of the room. That's okay. And we can see here we've got a pretty good skin tone line. Skewing a little bit magenta. She's looking healthy though, which is good. Let's start there. All right, cool. Touch more contrast. All right, and I think this is a pretty good starting point. They also said that the client said that they wanted this to feel slightly moody. Up for major interpretation there, but let's just take an inverted mask here. And I think to make this look a little bit more natural, let's lose the circle. Let's hand draw. Let's hand draw this. We'll go pretty loose and then we'll feather it, I think, and that might give us a better result. Let's kind of make like a pear shape, I guess, and see where this lands. This may or may not be the best approach, but let's just see what happens. A lot of what we do here in the color suite is trial and error. You never know exactly how something's going to look, so. All right, cool. Let's back this out, get that out. And then we're going to increase the softness here. I'm going to set this to black and white so I can see it a little bit better. What I want to do is feather the hell out of this. Get a nice loose shape. And we've got to set that to inverted as well. I don't want to grab too much of her. Okay, cool. So from here, I think we can back that out. And then let's drop our offset down and see how much room we've got to work with, because we have these very bright points here in the window, pretty bright points here on the wall. Those to me are a bit competing when it comes to drawing my eye to what she's saying. Her face is darker than those two areas. As you can see here on the scopes, they're way up here and her face is down here. So let's drop this offset down. We'll do this in steps here and we'll just snap it down. There we go. Now I'm paying much more attention to her face here. This is good. I don't want to go too dark, and then we'll balance out the rest of the exposure. There we go. And while we're at it, let's load our preset here. Should have done this before, but we're going to load the 40 to 60 skin tone. Cool. So if we solo this, we can see we have good exposure on her. Window's still a little bit bright, but we don't want that to feel like it's artificially brought down. So that highlight I am okay with. And then we'll bring our inverted mask down a little bit as well. There we go. All right, cool. So I think this is looking pretty good. Our eye is drawn much more to her. So, okay, let's get our other shot to match. Let's take our close-up here, snap that on. All right, that's already pretty close. It's already pretty close. Let's do a new, let's call it stills 11 for now. Let's grab a still there. Now, the most important thing here is not only making sure that our exposures match, but we also really need to make sure that our skin matches almost exactly, or exactly, as close as we can get it. Knowing that this was two different cameras, two different lenses, there's going to be a little bit of shift that happens there. So we want to negate that if we can. So if we take our side-by-side, and let's slide that over. Pan him. There we go. And we just want to get a good sample of the skin. Okay, cool. So if we blow this up, we can see it's pretty close. This is a little bit more magenta across the skin tone range. I think we can rein that in with a little bit of an adjustment there to bring it a little bit closer. Overall, the exposures feel very similar, so let's just attack that skin tone for now. And I think we're just going to do that with a subtle hue shift from the red to yellow. It's very subtle. I'm sure you probably can't even tell what happened there, but it's a little shift. You can see a lot of it in the cheek. Let's blow this up, take a little bit of a bigger look here. So she's definitely got a little bit more fill here. That's something I'm noticing for sure. Overall, it feels pretty good though. Now our inverted area. We just want to make sure it isn't darkening her too much. And let's take a look at these windows, because we're going to want to match that too. So if we go to this next shot, play our still, we want to make sure the windows look good, or at least similar in exposure. That does actually feel pretty good, but just to make sure, here's how you can do this. You just kind of slide your wipe, and you can pull your reference. There we go. Yeah, so they feel pretty similar. They look pretty good. So if we go and flip back and forth, are we noticing anything? It looks like this angle here is a little bit cooler in the shadows. So let's introduce a little coolness in the shadows, not by much. This is just going to be a touch of coolness. And let's drop the exposure just a touch. Flipping back and forth between the two shots, looking at the false color. All right, that looks pretty good. And lastly, let's take a look at this one. Let's copy that over. Already in a pretty good place. However, it looks like the room's a little bit darker. Maybe the sun has gone in. Yeah, it looks like we might be a touch cooler as well. Let's add a touch of warmth. And we're going to add a little bit of exposure. The face feels pretty good, but sometimes, even though they might not align perfectly on the scope, your eyes say that they look the same, and that's just a visual perception thing. I haven't been able to figure out the mystery to that. Looks like on this, now that we're looking at it a little bit more closely, I'm going to cool the shadows down here too. Get those chairs feeling the same color. Going back to this shot, I think we just need to take a little bit warmth out of the mids. All right, let's play that still again. Just want to keep an eye on the handkerchief, or the, I don't know if that's her shirt or what that is there. And let's blow this up. Just want to make sure this is feeling the same. There we go. That's going to be a little bit easier. All right, maybe just like a click of yellow. 2 clicks. That feels pretty damn good. That feels pretty good. So this is what this is all about. You go back and forth, getting everything as close as possible. Let's go back to our portrait here. Audition that. It is a touch dark. We're going to bring that up. Let's slip. Maybe a touch of cool into the shadows. And play that still again. Make sure our skin tones align. It looks like they do. She turns to camera. Okay, so last little touch on this. I think what I want to do is get a little bit of beauty going here. We're going to trace this face here, and I want to get a little bit more light in her eyes. As lovely as she looks, I think a little bit of brightness, a little bit of life in those eyes would be a good thing for this portrait here. Because in the other shots, she's looking way up, or rather, the camera's low, looking up. So the perception is that she's looking up into the key light here. So we can see just how much, if we just zoom in here real quick, you can see how much light is in her eyes here. You got this big, nice eye light in both eyes. In this one, it is probably the same. Yeah, nice big eye light in both eyes. No raccooning. And we want to make sure that this shot feels the same. Even though it's under slightly different lighting conditions, if these shots were to appear back to back, which they don't actually in this spot, but this is the level of detail that I think any color should go into, is making sure that whoever your on camera talent is, always looks the same. Make sure their skin tones match throughout the piece. Make sure the lighting, if it can be embellished to further unify how they look in each shot throughout the piece, I honestly think you should do it. Because you got the time, you got the tools, and why not? You just put a little bit of care into your images, and that you just get that little bit more polish. So let's introduce a little bit of eye light here. We're just going to soften her up, which is fine with me. Fine with me. We're going to brighten her eyes just a little. And if we play this still, we just want them to feel more similar, you know? Doesn't have to be a one-to-one. But now that we've brightened it, now we're picking up that little eye light right here and here, right? So let's just call a little bit further attention to that. And now that's a much, much closer match. Although I can't wait to see what YouTube compression does to the color accuracy between these two shots. That's kind of something I always struggle with when I record this off the Flanders and then put it up to YouTube. There's always like a little bit of like color disparity that didn't actually appear on the Flanders, and there's no way for me to actually show how accurate it is without you sitting right here or right behind me. So you're just gonna have to trust me, I guess. So let's play this. Might have overcooked it a little bit with the sharpening and the brightening. Yeah, it just brings that little bit of life into her. And let's see if we just do a slight eye bag removal. Not that she has eye bags, but I'm just more or less interested in kind of like making her skin look a little bit more dewy. Or, I don't know, a little bit of gloss or polish or something. Yeah, that looks great. So if we look at all three of these, I think we'll have a pretty coherent look. So just about there. I think one last adjustment I would do would be to bring this up just a little bit to match the feeling of every other shot. Hi, Coda. Cool. So that is that. Hey, what you doing? What you doing? Coda's here. He says hi. All right, so that's a practical look, a real world look at shot matching across cameras. This is something that I do in my work all the time. The majority of these interview-based pieces, the majority of the time is really spent matching the interviews and making sure they look as harmonious and as closely matched as possible. And then I go through the rest of the spot and kind of grade everything up. But doing it that way not only allows me to kind of set a look for the interviews that I can apply to the rest of the interviews, but it also lets me kind of get a feeling for the environment that they're in and what kind of look that footage will be able to take and still look, normal or to the direction that the client wanted it to go. I think that's it for this one, guys. It's really good to be back. Thanks for sticking around. I hope to see you in the comments, which reminds me, I have to reply to a lot of your comments. I really apologize for how long that's taken. I'm going to get back replying to each one of those comments as soon as I possibly can, and I'll catch you in the next one.